Hi Yogi, and welcome to another Slow Flow with me, Oceana. In this particular class, we are exploring the last of the 5 main pairs of meridian lines that flow through the physical body according to traditional Chinese medicine. And of course, as we have been doing, we'll be moving through a yang to yin practice. So that means in the yang part of our class at the beginning, we'll be moving a little bit more dynamically and fluidly to really activate the muscle tissue in these particular areas. And in the second half of the class, we will move into some of the longer held yin postures and spend a little bit more time working deeper into the connective tissue as well as the ligaments to really apply something known as acupressure to these particular meridian lines, which in this case are mostly focused through the arms as well as the shoulders. And as you might have already guessed by the title, we are of course looking at the lung and the large intestine meridians. So the lungs, as in most Eastern traditions, are really concerned with our ability to stay alive and to metabolize life force in order to sort of maintain the normal functioning of the body, which I think makes a lot of sense even from a Western perspective. We can't really stay alive for more than a few minutes without being able to breathe and bring air into the physical body. So the large intestine then, on the other hand, which in this case is the yang organ, the large intestine is very much concerned with our ability to, of course, process and release anything that is no longer useful to the body. So anything that can't be used by our cell tissue, they will sort of gradually move it out of our system, which is a process you may or may not be familiar with. So just from that perspective, and also bearing in mind that, of course, the lungs also release carbon dioxide, which is also something we can't particularly process as much of in the body. So for that reason, actually, both of these organs are paired up because of their ability to remove and release and let go of stuff that we don't need. So you might also feel to some degree on an emotional level that some of this sort of power of grief and the process of letting go is reflected in some of these postures. Now, in terms of props, you will want to have 2 yoga bricks or something that you can substitute them with. So I'm going to link a video here for you that's going to show you or give you just a few options if you don't have bricks at home. And you'll also want a bit of wall space. So we'll be putting our legs up at the very, very end of our practice. You could use a chair or a sofa if you have that. Otherwise, my suggestion would be that a wall is just going to give you that direct line to rest the whole of the backs of your legs on. And we'll be starting all the way lying on our back. When you're ready, you can join me there, Yogi. So as you come to lie on your back, have your feet about as wide as the mat and roll through the spine to come all the way down. From there, allow your knees to drop in towards one another and cross the arms. So your right arm is on top of the left, and it's sort of almost as if you're going to reach for the shoulders, but then allowing the fingertips to dangle down towards the floor beneath you. So you might notice that the shoulder blades move a little bit further away from each other, and give yourself a little bit more space in the back of the body to really direct the breath between the shoulder blades, so either side of the back of the spine, where the upper thoracic spine connect into the floor. Take a few rounds of breath. Allow the breath to really settle into its natural rhythm. And eventually here, swap the arm that's on top. So you simply uncross the arms briefly, bringing the left arm on top of the right, and from there reaching the hands towards the floor beneath you. And eventually, if you can, the elbows point towards the ceiling. You're just allowing the fingertips to dangle down to the floor. And finding a little bit of softness here through the shoulders, through the hands. Gradually allowing the breath to become a little bit longer, a little bit softer. Gently blink the eyes open when you're ready and release the arms. Bring the knees towards the chest. You can hug the knees in and have a little roll from side to side briefly. Eventually bring the hands underneath the knees and have a little rock through the spine a few times, rolling forwards and back through all of the vertebrae. Careful of your plant friends. And next time that you rise up, swing your legs out to one side and find your way into a tabletop position. Bring your hands directly underneath the shoulders, the knees under the hips. And we'll start with a few stretches for the wrists. So point the fingertips towards the edges of the mat and have just a little bounce from side to side, allowing the shoulders to move from the left to the right. Now, eventually walk the hands a little bit closer. You can tuck under your toes here and point the fingertips towards your knees with the palms facing the ceiling. Pretend that you're going to reach for the forearm with your fingertips and it's almost sort of playing upside down piano or trying to tickle your forearms with the fingertips to get a little bit of movement through the forearm and the wrist. And from there, take your fingertips back with the palms facing down, and this time find just a little bit of this movement going forwards and back, easing into the bottom of the forearm and the inside of the wrist, which can be a little bit sensitive, so you definitely want to move nice and slow going with a little bit of ease into this movement. The next time that your hips move back, you might like to keep them there and stay a little bit longer, taking a few rounds of breath. Maybe closing the eyes and really feeling into those deep sensations through the wrist. Gently bring the shoulders forward, plant the hands at the front of the mat, shoulder distance with the fingertips pointing forward. You might even take the hands a little bit wider. Tuck under the toes if they're not already, and send your sitting bones up and back to find your first downward dog. So always in our first downward dog, we have a little bit of time to really walk through the feet, to shimmy the hips, and allow the backs of the legs a little bit of time to adjust and open. Just a little bit of time to really find that ease through the back of the body. Eventually here, step the feet together on an inhale. Lift your right leg up and back. Point the toes for three-legged dog and really push through the hands. As you exhale, bring the right knee forward to the chest. Let the shoulders come on top of the wrists and round the spine. From there, slowly step or shimmy your right foot through. You can use your hands for a little assistance. And inhale, push into your back heel to open the chest into a runner's lunge, really opening through the left quad all the way into the left hip. Now slowly on your next inhale, squeeze the left knee into the chest and point the toes. So you're coming into this sort of flamingo shape of the legs. And from there, step the left foot back, lower the knee, lift the arms to find your low lunge Mariani Asana. And I would suggest that you keep the back foot tucked under, soften the shoulders, let the hips move forward and down. And gently take your left hand forward as the right hand travels back into a twist. Let your right hand come all the way to the right hip as you reach your left fingertips up and over the head into a side bend. Catch a few rounds of breath, really reaching through the top hand and expanding the lungs sideways as you breathe deeply, sinking the hips a little bit further forward and down. Now gently from here, use your top hand to pull yourself back up. Let your left hand travel all the way back as you reach the right arm up and over the head. So we're swapping sides, and the left hand could rest on top of the hip, or you might choose to go a little bit deeper here, bringing the hand onto the thigh, maybe the calf, maybe all the way onto your back heel, and extending through the right side of the waist as you draw the hips a little bit further forward and down. The eyes can look towards your back foot. And you're spinning the chest towards the ceiling, finding this tiny, tiny back bend. As you breathe in, use your right arm to pull yourself back up. Cartwheel the hands to frame your front foot. And on an exhale, step yourself back into downward facing dog and find a few rounds to breathe here, to let the body soften. Gently, when you're ready, we'll take that to the second side. So the big toes step together as you inhale. Left leg lifts up and back into your three-legged dog. Again, you're really pushing into the index finger and thumb, really reaching through the top foot. Eventually draw that top knee towards the chest, hug the knee in, and hover the shoulders above the wrists in tiger's curl. Gently step or shimmy, maybe pull the foot through to the front of the mat, and then pause in your runner's lunge. Let the chest open, let the shoulders roll back. Push into your right heel, open through the back leg. On the next exhale, bring the back knee to the chest to straighten the front leg and hover in your flamingo. And then gently step that top foot, your right foot all the way back and lower the knee. Again, I would suggest keeping the back toes tucked under as you breathe in, lift up into your low lunge. Draw the hips forward and down, soften the shoulders. Maybe look up. And eventually let the left hand come towards the left hip. Reach your right fingertips up and over the head. Really extend through the right side of the body. Find a little bit of length through that side of the waist and catch a breath, really breathing into the ribs here, moving the lungs sideways. And gently as you breathe in, moving back through center and swapping sides. So as the left arm lifts, right hand might rest on the right hip, or you're going a little bit deeper, allowing the right hand to gently land on your back thigh, possibly the calf, possibly reaching all the way towards the heel. And if you get there, then draw the hips a little bit further forward and down and reach across with the top hand. Again, expand the chest towards the ceiling. Find that deep opening through the right leg and let the breath settle. On your next inhale, use the top hand, pull yourself up, frame the front foot, and exhale to step yourself all the way back into a downward facing dog. Catch your breath here and feel into left and right side of the body now that we've done both sides equally. Step your big toes together on an inhale. Let the right leg float up and back and point the toes. Reach through the leg as you exhale. Bring the knee towards the chest. Really hug it in and round the spine in tiger's curl. Gently shimmy or step the foot through. And again, pause in your runner's lunge. Let the hips descend. Let the front of the chest open and the shoulders roll back as you press into the back heel. On your next exhale, draw the back knee to the chest and hug the knee in as you straighten the bottom leg to fold into your flamingo pose. Gently shimmy the top foot behind you and spin the heel to the ground. Again, you can separate the feet a little bit wider here to prepare for warrior one. As you inhale, lifting through the fingertips, bending the front knee generously. Front of the body opens as you push into the outer edge of the back foot. Allow the breath to settle, allow the fronts of the ribs to soften and the pinky fingers to spin towards the center of the body. On your next inhale, straighten the front leg, circle the arms all the way behind you, and then bend the front knee as you reach the arms forward and over the head. Now, as you straighten the front leg here, you might lift the toes as well and do one last circle, reaching through the hands as you straighten the front leg. Coming back into your warrior one here, inhale. On the next exhale, shift your body weight into the front leg and pick up your back knee. Draw the knee in towards the chest. And I'll show you this from the front. We'll flex the top toes. Take the arms to the right and point the knee to the left. And a couple times here, actively, you're going to swing the leg and arms in opposite directions. So as you draw the knee down, the arms change direction. And as you start to find that movement, there's a little bit of a kick and a push through the hands in the center of the body, so that you find this sort of swing from side to side. Making this our last round here. Don't worry if you lose balance. And then next time, bring the knee back into the chest, hug it in. Slowly take the foot all the way back. Step it behind you, land the left hand underneath its own shoulder, reach the right fingertips up towards the ceiling to come into a high lunge simple twist. Now here you're going to turn all 10 toes towards the right side of your yoga mat, and I'll briefly show you this facing you here. So turn all 10 toes towards the right side of the mat so that you come onto the outer edge of the back foot, and then you can bend your back knee to come all the way onto the hip and slide your way onto the side of the body. So you can walk your arm forward and come into this sort of reclining reclining pose. I'm not sure what the professional term is here. Now, option 1 is to bring your top leg and place it to the inside of your bottom thigh. Maybe staying here in this sort of side lying tree, and you can flex the bottom foot so that you can rest your top hand and find a little bit of balance here on the side of the body. If you're going a little bit further, you could draw that top knee in towards the ribs and really hug the knee in. So it's a very active opening through the hip joint. And some of you might like to catch the big toe with your index, middle finger and thumb and press the heel away from you to open through the hips and find this sort of deeper stretch through the hamstring, and finding just a few rounds of breath here. Allowing yourself to settle into that balance on the side of the body, feeling the feedback from the floor. And eventually let your top foot come all the way in front of you, flex your back toes and walk yourself into an upright seated position. So you end up in what we refer to as half shoelace in yin at the back of your yoga mat. So your right leg is on top, the left foot is on the bottom here, and you're flexing the front toes. On an inhale, reach up through your right hand and plant it behind you. Lean back and reach across with your left hand, possibly hooking that elbow across the thigh or simply wrapping the arm around the top knee so that you can find a little bit of a twist over your right shoulder, maybe closing the eyes or looking to a specific point at the front of your mat. As you breathe in, finding that length through the spine, growing taller, and as you exhale, twisting a little bit deeper. Catch your last breath here. On an inhale, de-rotate the spine, come all the way across towards the right side of the yoga mat. Bow down, de-rotate, and rise back up as you inhale. Now, from here, reach the arms up and over your head and cross your left arm on top of the right here. And you might simply walk the fingertips towards the shoulder blades behind you, or some of you might like to touch the backs of the hands or double bind the palms of your hands in front of your face. And from here, you could reach up through the fingertips and stay a little bit taller, or some of you might like to bring the elbows to rest on the top knee, maybe folding in and allowing the fingertips to reach towards the feet at the back of the mat. Finding just a few moments here to really breathe into that space between the shoulder blades. Finding a little bit of softness through the front of the face and the jaw. And allowing our heart rate to settle in. Gently, gently peel your spine away from the top knee, unravel the arms and retrace your steps. So you're going to plant your left hand at the front of the mat, turn all 10 toes towards the opposite side of the mat, and then push the floor away to come back into a supported side plank here, reaching the right fingertips up towards the ceiling and lifting through your bottom hip to really raise the hips up high. Plant your top hand to the floor and step your feet back into a downward facing dog, catching your breath there just for a moment, pushing into the hands to lengthen the back of the body and really feel the difference here between your left and right hip, between the left and right leg, all the way down into the heels of the feet. When you're ready, let the feet step towards one another. Lift your left leg up and back as you breathe in. You can really reach through the foot, active three-legged dog. As you exhale, bring the knee towards the chest. Hug the knee in tight and really round the forehead in. Step or shimmy the foot all the way to the front. Again, come onto your fingertips, push into the back heel. Open the chest in that runner's lunge. Draw the hips forward and down as you press the heel away. Last moment to breathe here. On an exhale, draw the back knee towards the chest. Really hug it in and then fold towards that standing leg. Gently step your right foot all the way back. Spin the heel down. Maybe walk the front foot a little bit more to the left edge of your yoga mat and bend the front knee to lift the arms into warrior one. Adjust if you need to, spin the back hip forward, bend the front knee even more if there's space, and let the shoulders be soft, let the rib cage soften inwards as you look towards your fingertips. Now 3 times with the breath, straighten the front leg as you breathe in, circle your hands all the way back and down, and then rebend the front knee to come back into warrior one. As the leg straightens here, maybe the toes lift on the inhale, and as you exhale, bend the front knee coming back. Last time here, move with the breath. Good. Gently as you exhale, bring your back knee to the chest. Come to stand in your Hasta Parangustasana variation. And again, I'll briefly come to face you here. We'll flex the right toes towards the shin bone, taking our arms to the left and the knee to the right. And as we change direction of the hands and knee, we find almost a little flick of the hands in the center. So it's almost as if you're sort of trying to flick water off your fingertips. So you've got a little bit of a bounce through the middle of that movement, through the hip and the arms. Last time here, when you're ready, draw the knee into the chest, lift the arms, and turn to the front if you're the yoga teacher, and slowly step your foot behind you. As you land the right hand underneath its own shoulder, lift the left fingertips up towards the ceiling and find a simple high lunge twist with the back toes tucked under on the floor. Now, from here again, all 10 toes are going to turn towards the left edge of our yoga mat, and gently we'll bend the back knee so that we can bring the right hip to the floor, and we can walk the right elbow forward. We could straighten the right arm completely and rest the right side of the head here. Again, option 1, you could stay here. You could flex your right foot, maybe bringing the left leg to the inside of the thigh or calf. Maybe you're going a little bit deeper by bringing the knee closer towards the rib cage on the left side, on the top side of the body. Maybe drawing the knee in here with the hand, or possibly hooking index, middle finger and thumb around the big toe and extending the leg upwards towards the ceiling. Again, you're using your bottom hand and the bottom foot to find a little bit of balance on the side of the body here. Gently drawing the top foot a little bit closer if there's space. Finding your last few moments to breathe. And gently, gently release the top foot first. Plant it in front of your bottom thigh, your right thigh, and then push into your right arm to come all the way up to sitting in your half shoelace pose at the back of the yoga mat. So You're keeping your left leg on top and the right toes flexed towards your face. Find your sitting bones, grow tall through the spine. Lift up through the left hand as you breathe in. Spin that hand behind you. And as you lean back, reach the right arm over the head. Lengthen towards the back of the room. And from there, either hook the right elbow on top of the thigh, maybe hook the elbow around the top knee. As you breathe in, grow. As you exhale, twist. And maybe if there's space, you're again looking over the back shoulder, maybe finding a particular point at the front of the yoga mat to focus on, or you might close the eyes completely and really feel into the spine, noticing the sensations that are present. Allowing the breath to carry you here, to keep your attention. Making this your last exhale to possibly twist a little bit deeper. And on an inhale, slowly unraveling the spine to face the back of the mat. Briefly planting the hands towards the right hand side and bowing down to derotate the spine. And from there coming all the way back up, and we retrace our steps. So the right hand goes to the front of the mat. The left leg is on top and we come onto the outer edge of the bottom foot. From here, as we inhale, pushing into the legs, lifting the left arm up and over the head to find this supported side plank. And gently top hand travels down and we step ourselves back into a downward facing dog. Just taking a brief moment to really lengthen through the spine, to open the backs of the legs and hamstrings. Spinning the insides of our elbows forward and finding a moment of stillness. Slowly come onto your hands and knees from here. And we'll gradually make our way into Anahata Asana, puppy pose. So as you come into this, there's the option to keep your chin tucked in towards the chest to keep the back of the neck long. Or if there's no pinching or pain in the neck, then you can allow the chin to point forwards to the front of your yoga mat so that you're opening the front of the throat and chest. So start by walking your hands in front of you. You want to keep the hips on top of the knees and gradually sink the chest towards the floor. You could hold on to the edges of your mat, which just gives you a little bit more ability to resist that pull of gravity. And again, either you're tucking the chin in or you're allowing the chin to reach forward so that you're opening a little bit deeper into the thoracic upper spine. And from there, closing the eyes. As you exhale, really allowing the front of the body to open and soften towards the floor. And pressing back through the hands, drawing the shoulder blades towards the center of the spine to protect the back. And opening through the backs of the hips. Maybe untucking the toes if you don't feel that you need that support from the feet. And really reaching and lengthening through the sides of the waist here for the last few moments. Finding a little bit of stillness, allowing the breath to become a little bit longer and softer again. Allowing your heart rate to settle down. Gradually pushing the floor away as you inhale, rising up into your tabletop. And we'll take this into thread the needles. So start by lifting the right fingertips up towards the ceiling, opening through the front of the chest. And from there, reaching the right hand underneath the left arm. You can bend your left elbow more generously as you reach across to possibly land on the side of the head. maybe coming onto left fingertips. And of course, if coming this low isn't comfortable, you could always be a little bit taller on top of the forearm. Mainly the focus here is on really expanding the space between the shoulder blades. So don't worry if you're not going all the way onto the side of the head. Some of you might walk the left hand forward and a little bit more to the right side so that you can push down through that hand and spin the chest a little bit deeper into that twist. And final option here is to tuck under your left foot, push the heel back and open through the side of the leg, finding a little bit more length through the left side of the body here in this variation. And from there you can lean a little bit more towards that right shoulder or the back of that right shoulder and the head to really come a little bit deeper into this twist for the upper back specifically. Allow the body just a few moments to close the eyes and really feel the movement of the breath, shifting the pose second to second, minute by minute. And eventually here on your next exhale, if you've bent your left leg, then gently release the knee. Bring your left hand in front of your eyes to unravel yourself back into your tabletop. And we'll simply take that to the second side. So from here, lifting up through the left arm, really reaching through the fingertips. And from there, sliding that hand through underneath the right elbow. Again, maybe we're sort of coming onto the left side of the shoulder. Maybe we're still a little bit taller on top of the forearm. Possibly walking the right hand towards the front of the yoga mat, supporting ourselves there. And then leaning a little bit more towards the bottom shoulder to spin the chest towards the ceiling. Finding this opening and twist through the upper back. And finally, possibly tucking under the right toes and sending the right heel back. Again, once you find as similar of a version of this pose as you can on the second side, really allow yourself that time to settle in, to explore that movement of the breath, to find this expansion through the right side of the body. And eventually here, gently again, if you straighten the right leg, bend that first, bring the knee to the floor. Then walk your right hand in front of your eyes to push down and extract your left arm out from underneath you. We'll have the knees wide and send the sitting bones back, coming into tadpole, pushing through the hands, walking the fingertips forward to find that length through the sides of the arms. Really actively pushing through index finger and thumb to activate and lengthen the lower back. Finding a little bit of release for the spine. And gradually walking the hands back in here. And we'll prepare ourselves for Viparita Karani, legs up the wall pose. So just a little tip here. So you will want your yoga bricks or whatever you're using as a substitute to be nearby if you're planning to use them. And essentially, we would be placing them on the very lowest part of the spine, which is the sacrum at the back of the hips, to support the hips a little bit higher up so that you create more of a sort of slope from the hips to the center of the chest where the heart sits. And because the legs are lifted, we're essentially reversing the flow of blood to the heart. And you can sort of view this as a supported version of shoulder stand, really. You can, of course, do this without props, and I would say that that's advisable, particularly for those of you who might have high blood pressure. You might feel that this can be a bit too much to be inverted so strongly. So if you're ready, we'll shimmy the right hip up against the wall or the couch that we're using. And as we lie down, we're going to swing the legs up towards the ceiling and shimmy onto the back of the body, onto the spine. Now, again, you could stay here. The knees can always be bent. You can always have the feet flat on the wall, and you might shimmy the hips a little bit further away. If you are using your bricks, then you're going to push the feet into the wall so that you can lift the hips a little bit taller and slide one or possibly both of the bricks underneath the sacrum. And you might take a few moments just to really adjust yourself so the backs of the hips are truly resting on the bricks and you feel really steady and supported there. And from there you can straighten the legs again when you're ready. And you might find that it feels more comfortable to really walk the shoulder blades underneath you and have the palms of the hands reaching either side of the shoulders with the palms facing up and the backs of the hands resting down. If you do want to work a little bit deeper, you could take the arms up and over your head, possibly holding on to the opposite elbows. And from there, see if you can really allow the body to settle in, to close the eyes and let the exhale really drop the shoulders and upper back into the floor. Really allow the feet to take that support from the wall and the hips to really sink into the props underneath you. And with every inhale, really feeling that expansion and opening at the front of the body. That sort of opposite sensation of the exhale. But as you breathe out, truly seeing if you can let the body rest. Allow yourself to let go. And with the inhale, becoming a little bit more present again. Allowing your attention to drift outwards. And with the exhale, doing a little bit less. And a little bit less with every breath out. And seeing if for the last few moments of your practice, you can just enjoy a moment of stillness, which for some of you might be the only moment of silence and stillness that you get in your entire day or your whole week. So really see if you can learn to savor this brief time. Gently here, slowly let your attention expand outside of yourself again, noticing the sound of my voice, any noises that are present in the room around you, maybe sounds beyond the room that you're even in. And gently planting one foot at a time against the wall, especially if you're on yoga bricks, releasing the hands to grab the bricks and slide them out from underneath you. And from there, bringing the knees towards the chest, having a little roll from side to side to massage the back of the body. And we'll reach the right arm up and over the head, rolling all the way onto the right side of ourselves here. Careful of any props that might be in your way, and you might even use your top hand to close the right nostril, breathe a few times through the left side. And gently push into the top hand, make your way up to a comfortable seated position. When you arrive here, bring the palms of your hands to touch in front of the chest. Bow the forehead towards the fingertips. And use this last moment of your practice to give yourself a little bit of gratitude for showing up here to practice, taking this time out of your day and dedicating it to yourself. And then finally, you might plant a sankalpa, a good intention for yourself, or send it to somebody else who needs it more than you do. This is where we'll close our practice. Namaste, yogis, and thank you so much for joining me today. Of course, if you did like the video, then do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, let me know down below in the comments section. And for those of you who are here very regularly, you'll notice that I'm going to take a couple of weeks off here at the end of the year to really spend time with my family and also to film a little bit of content back home. So I'm going to wish you all a really lovely wintry festive season and hopefully some time with your nearest and dearest people around you. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of you again in the new year, when hopefully it'll be the healthiest and happiest year yet. And in the meantime, of course, I will be available on social media, so you can find all of those links down in the video description below. And I hope to see you back in 2022 on your yoga mat. So thank you so much, especially if you have been here for a long time. I really appreciate you. So hope to see you soon. Bye, yogi.